Hi, everyone. It's Sandra Metzger. I'm here today on my own. Pete Van Overwall is at a event today with adaptability leaders, and so today I am on stage with you all. Thank you for joining. Pete and I meet every Friday during lunch, and we're just hoping to add some professional development type content that are excerpts of the more fuller program that we are working to build and curate for people in our networks and our clients. And so today we're just going to go through some questions. I'll give you just a quick call to action and talk about what's coming next Friday. So today, again, this is a Friday version or Friday session, and then we have our weekend to kind of think through. Maybe you'll have some time to play with AI. But Monday, we're hoping that you will have some practical content, practical things to apply into your workforce and continue to adapt and evolve with all the changes that are happening. And so today's mission is to answer some of your questions. And thank you to those who have been sharing some of your questions. And I did put them in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and post them also in our LinkedIn comments today. And let's see if I can do that without, I'm multitasking. So get into the meeting. Did you know that according to a Microsoft and LinkedIn discussion, we have about 75% of us using AI, but a lot of people still do not feel like they know what they're doing all the time. Now, I want to say that it is not an expectation that any of us become experts at AI. It's changing so fast that as soon as you think, I've got it figured out, there will be something you don't have figured out. So this forming of network and community is what really helps us stay together. So I think I posted, yes, you should be able to see that. So I'm just going to repost in case there's any issues with that. And there we go. You should see that in there. And we're just going to start tackling these one at a time. And I'm going to go ahead and just talk to you all. And if we need to do a demo, we can. And I would love for you to share your additional questions, follow-up questions, ideas, use cases. We're here to learn together. And I know that on LinkedIn, these live sessions aren't interactive via video, but they are interactive in that you can post the comments and things like that. So thank you so much for being here and for doing this. All right, so here's the first question. What can I do with AI-generated images? Everybody's talking about fun images. If you haven't done one with yourself or your family or just a random person or done some editing to have fun, then that's a great way to just practice with these generative AI tools. But for a lot of us, we're like, yeah, but what am I going to do with AI-generated images? So someone asked that question, and it's really a great question. What would I do with AI-generated images? I've never really had to use images for my work. So where could I do that? All right, so here's how I want to answer that question. It's a two-part answer. First of all, If you don't really need to generate something, don't. There's plenty of really great images. Some are images that are created by artists, by photographers, by people who deserve to have their work showcased, right? And so I like honoring authentic human work. So when a human generated image or captured image would work, I I like using that. I like being the person who uses the human content. That being said, it's also really helpful to use AI generated images when we use images to help us communicate. So one of the courses that I teach is a business communications course for MBA and Masters of Management students, and we know that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So there are often times when we need to visualize, not just visualize data, but maybe visualize a concept, an analogy to evoke a memory, an experience, to use images to help us communicate something at a deeper and more connected level. And I have spent many hours, if I could total the hours I've spent over the last probably 6 years in Canva or on Unsplash, looking for just the right image to communicate my message. Now, what I'll often do is either edit an existing image to get it just the way I need, or I'll ask AI to generate an image that helps communicate that that concept. So I'll give you an example. I was talking to a room full of faculty at a university, and I wanted to approach the topic of the elephant in the room, the AI as the elephant in the room. So I had different AI tools. I tried several different ones. Generate an elephant in the room, AI being the elephant in the room, and I played around with that until I got the image that I wanted. So that was something where it was intentional. I was being creative. I needed that, right? And so I highly recommend using AI generated images or playing with the AI generation process of getting the right image when it's about communicating an important message. So that's my advice. So that's the answer to that question. I don't know if anyone has any follow-up to that. And there is just a little bit delay between the software platform that we use, StreamYard, and LinkedIn. So if you post a question, I might have to come back to it because I won't see it right away. Okay, let's move on to the second question. What tools should I be using? Okay, here we go. What tools should you be using? There are so many different tools, and my helpful, but probably you won't feel it's as helpful, comment or answer to that is it depends. It depends on what you're doing. I'll tell you the tools that I use and how I use them, what I use them for, okay? So I use Gemini in my Google Workspace. I have the Pro Gemini account in my Google Workspace. That's where I run my business, and the way that I have the settings allows me to do as much data privacy and security as I can in my data or in my Google Workspace. But the AI then has access to whatever I call it to look at. So anything that I say, like, can you look at my calendar and tell me which days I have completely open in the next 3 months? So that allows Gemini to be like my business assistant. It can see what I give it access to, and it can help me, right? It can also summarize things, find things, look at things. It can act. I don't let it act on its own completely, but like, for example, I can say, I need to set up meetings with these 3 people, find times next week, and it will create the invites, but then I have to say, yes, I want to do that. Okay, I want to say it. These things, by the way that this works, the best way to figure out how to do it is, one, try, just say, hey, can you do this for me? The second thing would be, teach me how. So you're actually in Gemini, in your Google workspace, and you're doing that. Copilot can also do these things. Copilot is a little bit more expensive, and I don't actually run my business out of Microsoft Office. So I have an account. I work with organizations that have Microsoft account. I am very comfortable with Microsoft tools, but I don't use Copilot in the same way that I use Gemini. Okay, I also use ChatGPT. I use both free versions and paid versions, and there's reasons for that as well. In the paid version, I can decide which things, which chats go together, and that's in projects. I can do deep research. I can have access to libraries. We also have agents now within that can take actions for you. So there's a lot of features in the Pro account with ChatGPT that I find very helpful. But because I work with people who are using the free versions of things, I also play around in the free version of ChatGPT. I love using voice mode in ChatGPT. Gemini also has voice mode. I use both of them, but I prefer ChatGPT's voice mode, especially when I'm driving. So it is my thinking partner, and then there's AI tools embedded in other software. And so that really depends on what software you're using. Most of our work software and education software, if it doesn't now, it will in the next 6 months have AI embedded in it. And my suggestion is to go through that growth process with whatever software tools you are already comfortable using. And I say growth process because those companies are trying to figure out what you, the user, needs. They're usually really open to feedback, but go through that process of figuring that out. Okay, so the last tool that I'll recommend is a tool that is completely FERPA, HIPAA, COPA compliant. You can completely protect your data. There are pros and cons to that as well, but I do have access to both Boodlebox and Magi. So magi.co and Boodlebox are 2 platforms that protect your interactions, and I use those when I am working with client data, student data, things that I have to be careful to be compliant and protect the privacy and security of the data in which I'm working. So those are the tools that I use for fun and for the software things that I was saying. My most used tool is Canva. I love using Canva. I usually don't generate things in Canva as much, but I just love using Canva, and it can connect to these other things. So those are my tool suggestions. Okay. All right. So let's go with a couple other questions. Where can I experiment with AI safely? Actually, that's a really good question to just follow up on. What I just said, Boodlebox and Magi. Magi does not have a free account, but you can try it and get your money back if you don't like it. Boodlebox does have a free account, but both of those spaces are spaces where you can play around, and it is safe as far as data security and privacy. The word safe, though, has a lot of connotations. So what do we mean by safe, right? What do we mean? Is it safe for me psychologically? Okay. Where can you experiment with the AI safely? I would say that you want to use tools that are that allow you to adjust the settings. So both ChatGPT and Gemini, as well as Claude. I love using Claude too. I didn't say that. And Perplexity. Those would be my top four. Allow you to go in your settings under your account. They allow you to go in and adjust the settings. So for example, I will go in and I like having it call me by name. So I'll say, my name's Sandra. Or I have a friend who always gives herself some, superwoman type name, so that it has to call her that. But in there, I adjust some things. Like I say, don't tell me that I'm awesome all the time. Like, don't go overboard on the praise and, challenge my thinking. Or if I'm feeling, if you note that I'm feeling low or down, tell me to go talk to XYZ, right? So you can adjust your interaction settings by just explaining what you need and what you want. And then my last piece of advice on anything that is about safety is, where can you provide access to someone that you can be accountable to? So a friend, a spouse, a parent. Here's my account, here's my login, and you have access to it. And just by doing that, it can create a sense of responsibility around that. So in that question, it was, where can I experiment with AI safely? Let's talk, think through, what do you mean by safety, and how do you want to adjust that? All right, we have a couple questions left. Here's one. How do I stop it from making mistakes? So you've probably heard the term hallucination, right? Now, hallucinations are improving. That it makes hallucinations is going down. The models that are used behind these interactive chatbots are large language models, some vision models, some other AI models that are working to give us the output that we're asking for or looking for, right? So it can make mistakes, and I'm going to just give you one tip today about this. Your expectations are subtly embedded in the way that you question, prompt, or talk to, interact with the LLM. So you have to think about your own prompting strategies and your own way of talking. I'll give you this example. Why was Abraham Lincoln the best president we ever had? Okay, there's bias in that question. Now, if you have, legal lawyer type background, you'll be like, leading the witness. Okay, are we leading the witness? There are many times when the LLM will hear, gets a question like that, and so it is trying to answer you the way you are asking for it to answer you. And so that is one way that it can make up mistakes. All right, so how would we do that differently? All right, I'm looking at Abraham Lincoln. I want to do some research on Abraham Lincoln. Analyze the most written about actions that Abraham Lincoln did during his presidency and rank them from most talked about to least talked about. So start with that. So it's just a list. It's just give me the facts. Now let's go through this. Now, how would we rank these as if their effects on society or, anyway, my point is you start interrogating and working. It's about your own thinking. So you come into something with bias and it picks up on that bias and it's going to try to match what your expectations are. So that is part of that prompting techniques, but it's not just about prompting, it's about your own thinking. So this is where I say AI can really help you become a great critical thinker if you're approaching it in the way where you're like, I'm gonna be good at this, right? Okay. So also, if you catch a mistake, just say, I think that's a mistake. Double check. So don't be afraid to push back. That's really important. And it's a learning machine, so it will continue to learn. About 8 or 9 months ago, ChatGPT was telling everybody there were not, like how many R's are in strawberry, and it was getting that wrong. And it did that for a few days until the machine learned it, right? And so there's no problem with it getting the right number of R's in strawberry. So it will continue to get better and learn, but it needs to be corrected when it's incorrect. Okay. What is one practical thing I can actually use it for? Let's end on this one today. And the last question was about training and upskilling your team, which I think that Pete and I could probably do a whole Friday session on. And of course, we would love to come help you train your team either in person or help you develop a plan to upskill and train your team to leverage AI effectively. So let's end with this one. What is one practical thing I can actually use it for today? All right. Here's what I'd like you to try. Today, take a list or take your schedule and look at your schedule and say, what are the things that I need to have in place to do this work successfully? And what criteria should I use to evaluate success with these tasks? Okay. Work with it like a coach for your actual work day. And you don't have to worry if it's like, it's not judgmental. It doesn't care what you have on your calendar. It's not going to criticize you, although you can ask it to be like, be tough on me, critique my schedule. But what I find really helpful is when I have it help me think through expectations and not just here's all the things I think I should do, but here's how to measure or evaluate whether or not I am doing a good job. We are not great at doing that as humans. we set ourselves up for a lot of, end of day, I don't feel that successful, or I don't know if what I did really mattered. And so just really practically speaking, use it as a coach today to get through your calendar, what's on your calendar, or maybe you haven't put it on your calendar, so you're going to say, here's what I'm going to do today. And then what is the criteria for that, for doing a good job today? You can go beyond that and say, how can I do this better? So like, how can I meet that criteria? What are some ways to do that? I highly recommend, though, that you don't try to fix anything or change anything today. Go through the day and let that be the data that you and the AI work with tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's Saturday, so Monday, to say, how do I improve? How do I increase my my success, right? And so build up some history with your AI chat. All right, so today we are just talking through these questions, and I hope that that was helpful for some of you. I would love to see your comments. I know we have people that like to come on later and watch the recording. Leave your comments, but I'm going to go ahead and go back to our plan or our slides. So the final question or final thought for today is to keep asking questions. I don't think there's been a better time for us to be inquisitive. Ask questions, dig, find out. Don't be satisfied with non-answers, with bad answers. Keep asking questions. Ask questions to the humans around you. Ask questions to the AI tools that you use, but keep asking questions. And next week, it's going to be so fun. Pete and I are working together next week on the 26th. And we are going to be talking, mostly Pete is going to be talking about 6 creative habits of innovation. So how to be intentional about doing the things that help you be innovative. This can work for you personally, or it can work for you and your team. But we will be looking at how to unlock the innovation that is within you and your team. So thanks so much. I would, again, love to hear your comments. Thanks for joining us, and have a great weekend.